to the stable. He asked Alfred to clean the stable with lots of water, but he fooled Master by saying that horses catch cold easily. The master asked if the drains are clean. He replied that the drains throw some bad smell back and there can be a problem in them. So Master asked him to get a bricklayer and get set things right. The bricklayer came. After pulling out a lot of bricks, he found that there was nothing wrong in them. But still, he put some cement in the bricks and laid them back again. He charged 3 shillings from the master as his labor. However, the smell was still persistent in the stable. As the straw underneath my feet was damp in the stable, my feet went tender and soft. The master then said to Alfred, "The horse is getting fumble-footed." "I don't know what is wrong with the horse," Alfred replied. "Very true, sir. Even I feel the same when I take it out for exercise." The fact was that I was never taken out for exercise, and as the master was very busy in his business, he came to me after 3 to 4 days. Till then, I used to stand in my stable all that time idle, but my food was as rich as a horse that has to work hard is giving. This made me dull and disordered my health too. One day, while walking with master on my back, I stumbled 2 times so seriously that he could have fallen down and got hurt badly. As we came to the Lansdowne in the city, master took me to the farrier. He asked him to examine me. He took my hoofs in his hands and found that they were very badly infected. He said, "Such infections are caught by horses where stables are not cleaned properly. Send your groom to me with the horse tomorrow. I will attend to the horse and tell your groom how to apply the medicine as well." The next day, my feet were cleaned thoroughly. Lots of medicine was poured in. It was very painful. The doctor then ordered Alfred to clean my stable daily. I was to be fed with green food and brown mashes instead of corn. Very soon I recovered and was back in my old spirit. But the master was so sad at the betrayal of the grooms twice that he decided to sell me and hire a horse whenever required. I was sold again. Part 3, Chapter 17, Jerry and his family. The horse fair is no doubt a very interesting place for those who have nothing to lose, as there are lots of things to see. Long lines of young horses, mares and ponies, horses as mature as I am, but are kept in the middle class due to some accident, and then some very young. Fit to do anything, horses that are in their prime age. At the back there were many sad stories to be seen. Some horses had their lips hanging, some were very fatigued and tired as if there was no wish in them to live. Some were badly hurt on their legs and hips. Some were underfed, whose ribs could be counted easily. These were bad sights for a horse who knew that it could also reach that state in the near future. People were bargaining on lives a lot. I was put along with two to three strong horses. Many people came to look at us. The men who saw my broken knees did not give me a second look even. But the man who was selling me told them that I had slipped in the stable. First, they examined my mouth and then my eyes. Then they felt me all over and tried my speed thereafter. Some used to handle me very hard, and some did it softly. I could hence judge many buyers by their manners. Then came a man to examine me. I grew fond of him. Why? I think his simple appearance, fresh smell, and keen eye made me realize that he understood horses well. He offered 23 pounds, but the salesman refused and he went away. Then came a man with a harsh voice and offered the same amount. My salesman thought that it was the only price I would fetch. At the same time, the first man came back again. I moved my neck near to him, so he said, "All right, friend, I'll give 24 pounds for it." The salesman replied, 25, and the horse is yours. 24.10, and that's all. Okay, done. You can take the horse to run a cab very easily. It is a great deal you have cracked, sir, said the salesman. The man paid my price. He then led me out of the fair into an inn. There he had the saddle and the bridle ready. After feeding me with good oats, we moved to London. We reached the good city in the evening. By then, the lamps were lit. There were streets towards my right and streets towards my left. I thought that this would never come to an end, but at last we reached a long cab stand. My rider called out, "Good night, Governor." "Hey, have you got a good horse?" "I think so," replied my owner. "I wish you good luck for it." "Thanks, Governor." And he rode on. We soon entered one of the side streets. Then we went into a very narrow street. There I saw poor-looking houses on one side and coach houses and stables on the other. My owner stopped at one of the houses and whistled. Soon after, the door opened. Out came a woman, a little boy and a girl, and greeted the master happily. Harry opened the gate and mother will get a lamp for us. The next moment, they all were standing around me in a small stable. "Father, is it gentle?" "Yes, Dolly, as gentle as your little kitten, my girl. Come and pat it." A little hand was patting me over my shoulder at once. What a nice feeling it was. "I will get it some bran mash. Till then, you rub it," said the mother. I was then led to a small but clean and nice smelling store. It had lots of dry straw. After my supper, I lay down thinking that I would be happy here. Jeremiah Baker was the name of my very new owner. Polly was his wife. Dolly, their little 8-year-old daughter. Their son was called Harry. He was 12 years old. The family was happy and fond of each other. My master was called Jerry by everyone. He had a cab and 2 horses, which he rode for his livelihood. His other horse was named Captain. It was a tall, well-bred white horse, but it was old now. It had been very splendid in its prime youth. He told me that it belonged to an officer of the cavalry. It used to lead the regiment. The next morning, after my grooming, Dolly and Polly came to me to make friends. Harry was already with his father, helping him to make me get ready. Polly and Dolly brought a piece of apple and a slice of bread for me. They treated me as if I were the Black Beauty of my olden days. I felt very glad. Captain was out in the morning, riding the cab. Harry, after coming back from school, fed me. He gave me water to drink. I was put to the cab in the afternoon. I was very happy as there were no check reins. Jerry took care of the bit and the bridle, as John did. We stood at a large cab stand where many cabs like us were standing in a row waiting for passengers. 2 to 3 men came around me to look at me and started giving their comments. "Good for a funeral," one said. "Smart looking, but you may find one fine morning that there is definitely something wrong with it," said the other. "I do not require finding the thing that is wrong in it. If something wrong does happen, I will keep my spirits high still," replied Jerry. After all, these men came a gray-haired man who was dressed in gray clothes and gray hat. Everyone made way for him. Then he came near me. After examining me from top to bottom, said, "Jerry, I do not know what amount have you paid for it, but I can still say that it is the right kind for you. It will be worth its price." My character was established in the cab stand. His name was Grant. People called him Governor Grant. He was the oldest among the other cabmen, not only in age, but in experience too. He was respected and obeyed by all cab drivers. As such, he used to settle disputes among them too. He was good, humorous, and a sensible man, but people dared to go near him at the time when he was drunk, as he could hit a very hard blow anytime. My first week at as a cab horse was very tiring. I was not used to congesting roads and traffic. I was not used to the buzzing noise of the city. It felt very dreadful, riding my way through the ever fast moving traffic of the city. But I soon got used to it. I could trust my driver with full confidence. This made me comfortable. Soon I got used to it. Jerry was a very good driver and thought about his horses as much as he did for himself or for his family. He soon came to know that I was not a lazy bone, so he never used the whip on me. It was a slight touch from the tip of the whip, which was a signal for me to move ahead. So his whip was generally hanging on his side rather than him holding it. Jerry and I soon understood each other as much as a horse and a man can. In the stable, he did everything he could for our comfort. The stable and its stalls were old-fashioned, but he would remove the bars and replace them with movable bars at night so that we could change our sides and rest the way we wanted. He fed us with the most variety he could provide, and that too in good quantity. The stable was always kept very neat and clean. We were provided with fresh drinking water every day. Some people say that a horse should not be allowed to drink whenever it feels, but we are allowed to do that. Some grooms go for beer, leaving us unattended for hours. We are left with dry hay and oats and nothing to moisten it. So we have to gulp down a huge amount at one time, which upsets our stomach at times. The best was our holiday, Sunday. It was the day when we were allowed to rest after a whole tiring week. Those were the days when I came to know about the history of my partner, Captain. Chapter 18, The Importance of Time. Captain was trained as an army horse. His first master was an officer of the cavalry at the Crimean Row. He enjoyed marching and the other activities that are expected out of any army animal. It was a dark iron-colored horse. His master was very fond of Captain. He took great care of it. Captain said that the life of an army horse is very good unless sent on a ship over waters. That was dreadful. I had never seen a man as good as my new master. He was as kind and thoughtful as John. He was fond of singing songs. He made little songs too. He was very fond of the song, "Come father and mother, and sister and brother, come all of you, turn to and help one another." And so they helped each other the way the master sang. Harry was a good stable boy. Polly and Dolly would also come for help in the morning. There used to be great fun at that time among us. I and Captain were also charged, and Jerry would say, "In the morning, 3 minutes away, you cannot pick them up. In the course of a day, you may hurry and scurry, flurry and worry. You have lost them forever, for and ever." And hey, he could not bear people who did not care about time. He used to get annoyed by people who would ask him to ride the cab fast in order to make up for their laziness. One day, 2 young men called Jerry. They asked him to take them to the railway station fast as they had to catch the 1 o'clock train. They were late. They were even willing to pay a shilling extra for the hurry, but Jerry said no. The shillings cannot make up for the time they had lost. Beside us was Larry, standing with his cap. He rushed open the door and said, "I am your man, sir. I will put you up at the station on time." Jerry advised him that more than a jog was not good for him, as well as his horse, but he did not listen to Jerry. They went away as fast as he could. After they were gone, Jerry patted my neck and said, "A shilling is not worth this." He was determined not to ride fast. He rode at a comfortable speed. I remember that day very well when a man slipped over an orange peel and slipped. Jerry was the first one to go to him and help. He was taken into a shop nearby, and after some time, the same man came over to Jerry limping. He asked him to travel to the Southeastern Railroad by 12. He said that the fall had made him late. He offered to pay extra if he reached there in time. Jerry said, I will try my level best, but are you well enough to travel? I have to go. It is very urgent. Please open the door and let me in. Let us not waste time. The next minute, Jerry was on the box. He gave me the instruction to move forward. He asked me to move fast so that we reach the destination on time. It is always very difficult to ride fast through the city in the middle of the day as the traffic is heavy. But we still tried our best. Jerry and I were used to the traffic, and no one was able to beat us. I was quick and bold, and Jerry was quick and patient. Moreover, we trusted each other. There we had to wait for 2 to 3 minutes at the cheap side. The man got so anxious that he said, I will never be able to reach at time if we walk at this pace. I better walk. I will be faster. We are trying our best, sir. The jam will be over in a few minutes. We'll reach on time. Moreover, your luggage is also very heavy for you to carry and walk. Just then, the cab ahead started moving. We got a chance to move. We crossed the London Bridge very soon. We reached the station 8 minutes before 12. The passenger thanked Jerry and praised me too. He gave an extra crown for making up on time, but Jerry refused. Then I moved away and cleared the way for other cabs that were rushing in too. Jerry was very happy to have made in time. While returning back to the stand, other cab drivers made fun of him as he rode fast. They thought that he had gone against his principles for money, so they wanted to know how much extra he had earned. A good amount, which could keep me in comfort for some days, he answered. Come on, said one, and Hamburg called the other. They said this because he advised the others not to practice what he had done today. But they did not know the truth. Look, mates, I was offered an extra half crown by the passenger, which I denied, as the happiness on the face of the passenger to have reached the station on time was enough a reward for me. And as far as speed is considered, we did it for our own pleasure. That is none of your business. Well, then this way you will never get rich, Jerry, Larry said. Yes, I will still be happy, as I have read the 10 Commandments and have never noticed it say, thou shalt be rich. Apart from this, the Testament reads of the many different things that rich people have to bear, which I do not want to, and hence I am happy the way I am. If you ever get rich, Jerry, you will deserve it, but Larry, you will die poor. This much I know, as you use a lot of whip on your horse, said Gray. What do I do if my horse doesn't work without it? Said Larry. You have never even thought of the problem that your horse might be facing, due to which it behaves the wrong way. You have the whip in your hand, and you use it as if you had the St. Vim's dance in your arm. If your whip does not wear you out, it wears out the horses. That is why you keep on changing horses so frequently. This is because you never give your horse any kind of peace to live at his own to some extent. I'm not lucky, probably, said Larry, and you would never. Good luck moves with only those who have a good and a kind heart, said the governor, turning towards his newspaper. Chapter 19, Sunday, a great holiday. One day, when Jerry was with me in the stable, a gentleman walked in. Jerry said, at your service, sir. Good morning, Baker. I'm here to make arrangements with you to take Mrs. Briggs to the church every Sunday morning. We go to the new church now, and that is quite far for her to walk. Thank you, sir, but I have the license to run the cab only for 6 days. Taking the cab out on the seventh day would not be legal, replied Jerry. Oh, I did not know that yours was a 6-day cab. However, I will see to it that you get your license altered very soon, as Mrs. Brooks trusts only you as a driver. I'm very glad to hear this, but sir, I had the 7-day license once earlier. This proved to be very hectic for me and the horses. Moreover, I could not spend time with my family and children, and I did not visit any holy place too. So for the last 5 years, I took only a 6-day license. That is right, and everyone should have at least one day of rest. But I thought that you would not mind going such a short distance only in the mornings. Then you would have your evenings and the whole day free to you and your family. You know, we are good customers. Yes, sir, it is very true that you are one of the best customers, but I cannot give up my Sundays. I read that God has made man and the beast. He has decided that everyone should get a day of rest too. With this one day's rest, my horses are fresh for the hectic week ahead, and so I am. Moreover, my family is also happy, and my savings account also has much money than I had collected earlier when I had a 7-day license. Sir, I will never want to go back to my old routine. Do not trouble yourself, Baker. I will inquire from someone else. We must have our Sundays, Jack, said Jerry. Then he called for his wife. She was there in a minute. He told her that if he did not oblige Mrs. Briggs, he would probably lose a good customer. But Polly refused. He said that she is happy in the present situation. She agreed that they have to sometimes face hardship, but that is bearable rather than Jerry going out to work on Sundays too. She started crying. Jerry comforted her by saying that he had refused the offer. Jerry had not received any order from Mrs. Briggs after 3 weeks of the conversation, so they had to take the passengers from the stand. Jerry took it a little serious as the passengers from the stand had hard work for him and his horses were after. Mrs. Briggs took them for shopping and they had to wait for her for 3 hours, and she never refused to pay well as other passengers did. But Dolly always cheered her father and sang, "Don't mind, father, do your best and leave the rest. It will all come right someday or night." So Jerry had lost his best customer. People used to call him a fool, except 2 or 3 who supported him. Truman said, "If we, the working people, do not stick to a Sunday, then we will soon be left with nothing. God has made it a rule that everyone should have a day of rest, and even the law of Britain says so. So we must stick to it and keep at least one day for our family and friends. These religious people are same as any other man," said Larry. Jerry answered that they are not the same. A man, no matter how religious he is, if he does not pay his debts or speak evil about his neighbors, is not religious in my opinion. Real religion is to be good and kind to all, and to live and let others live. Then Jones said, "If it was religion, then the priests and similar other people would not have compelled us to work on Sundays. They keep their prayers only for Sundays, and so we have to come out on Sundays and work, but they call it their privilege. I would want to answer for this from them if I ever got a chance to ask them." This sounds good, but you are blaming others for your own weakness. You Sunday drivers stand at the stand for passengers, and if they do not come to you, then it would be of no use. If you all strike for a day, demanding that Sunday should be called as a holiday for cabs too, people would definitely think about you people, then maybe some action will be taken then. And what about those who would not be able to go to their favorite preachers if they do not get cabs? After 2 to 3 weeks of this conversation, Dolly came running to her father, saying that a man had come from Mrs. Briggs' house. She had asked to take her out at 11 the next day. Then Dolly said that they had supposed that Mrs. Briggs had employed some other cab for her. The servant then replied that their master was a bit annoyed when Jerry had refused to take her out on Sundays to the church. So she had tried many cabs, but none had suited her as yet. So she wants to go out only in Jerry's cab. Dolly was very excited. Jerry started singing merrily. It will all come right someday or night. You are right, my dear. Now go in and get the supper ready. I will take off Jack's harness and make it comfortable in no time. After this, Mrs. Briggs called for our cab as regularly as she used to call earlier. But there came a day when we had to work on Sunday. It so happened that on Sunday morning, when Jerry was cleaning me, Dolly came in and looked as if she wanted to say something. What do you want to say? Asked Jerry. Well, I want to tell you that poor Dinah Brown had just received a letter. It says her mother is very ill, and if she does not go to her now, her mother will die. The place is 10 miles away from the town. If she goes by train, she will still have to walk for 4 miles. She is very weak herself as her baby is just 4 weeks old. She wants to know if you could take her to her mother. She promises to pay as soon as she gets money. It is not about money. It is about me and the horses. We all are very tired and the place is very far off. This is what is hurting me. She made Jerry understand that if it were her mother dying at a faraway place, she could have done anything to reach her. Jerry agreed to go and asked his wife to go and tell Dinah to be ready by 10. He had taken his sermon early in the morning and now could go easily. But when his wife was asked to leave for Dinah's house, he asked her to get the light trap of the butchered brought down, as that would help the horses on their way. She returned and saw that the butcher is willing to give his light trap. He then asked her to pack some cheese and bread. He said that he would try his level best to return back to the afternoon. She also promised to make meat pie for him for the evening tea. He started making the preparation for our journey. I was selected for the journey. We started at 10. The light, high-wheeled carriage was very easy to pull. It was a day in May. As we reached the outskirts, the smell of the fresh air and the green grasses made me feel as if I were back in my old days. I felt very fresh and relaxed. Dinah's family lived in a farmhouse close to the fields. There were very old shady trees in it. They also had 2 cows in their farmhouse. A young man asked Jerry to take the trap to the fields and tied me in the cow shed, as they did not have a stable for me. Jerry said, if your cows do not mind, my horse may be tied in their shade, or else you can leave it in the fields. It would be a treat for it. You need not worry about it, as it's a very quiet and good-tempered horse. The young man agreed. He said they would be having their meals in an hour. He said he would like them to join him, but Jerry refused politely. I was relieved of my harness. I was so happy. I did not know how to react. I wanted to eat the green grass, gallop freely in the fields, roll over my back in the field, and feel the freedom. I did so. Jerry was also very happy in the field. He sat in the shade of the trees, singing songs which he read from his brown book. Walked in the fields, walked on the side of a little brook, collected flowers and hay. He then fed me with oats, which he had brought for me from home. The time seemed to have flown away. We came home slowly. As soon as we reached home, Jerry said to his wife, our Sunday has not been spoiled. In fact, we enjoyed ourselves a lot. There were birds singing hymns. There was cool fresh air to breathe. As for Jack, he behaved like a young colt. He had lots of fun. Then he gave the flowers to his daughter. She was very happy. Chapter 20, Poor Ginger and Cruel Men. One day, when I was waiting with many other cabs outside the park, a dirty old cab drove beside me. The horse was chestnut colored. It was very weak and lean. As the air was blowing, I was eating my hay. A dry bundle of hay flew away. The horse standing next to me caught it. It was thinking as if I had seen the horse somewhere, when suddenly that horse said, "Is that you, Black Beauty?" I was surprised it was Ginger. She had changed so much. Her beautiful neck was not now straight and falling. Her clean, straight legs had swelled. The face was showing her pitiable condition, and her joints had gone out of shape due to hard work. She was coughing and smelling bad. Our drivers were standing at a distance, so I went 1 or 2 steps forward her to talk a bit. She told me what had happened to her after she had left Hillshire. After 12 months, she was considered fit to walk. Then she was sold to a gentleman. She could walk well for some time, but soon that old strain began to show again, so she was nursed. After making her well, the owner sold her again. She changed several hands and got weaker day by day. So at last she was bought by a man who owns lots of calves and horses. He lets them out on rent. She was glad to see me all well, but hers was a sad story altogether. The master lends her at a rent and charges a heavy amount, so the driver keeps on riding her the whole day without any rest. They made her work all 7 days of the week without giving rest on Sunday. I said to her, "Why don't you stand against the evil done to you?" She replied she had done it once, but you know men are the strongest of all. We just have to bear it on and on and on. I wish I was dead. At least I will be free from the pain and agony that I have to bear now. I was very sad at this thought of hers. I put my nose near her just to comfort her. That was all that I could do. She said, "You are my only friend." Just then, her driver came and took her away with a whip. After a short while, I saw a cat taking away a dead horse. Its head was hanging out of the cat. It was chestnut in color. Blood was dropping from its tongue. It lay lifeless in the cat. It was a very sad sight. The face had a white streak on its forehead. I hope that it was Ginger. Now she will be free from the agony and frustration she was suffering from. I saw many troubled horses in London, which could have easily been avoided if a little common sense was used by mine. One day, I saw a little grey pony with a thick mane and a pretty face that looked very much like Mary Legs. It was doing its best to pull the heavily laden cart, but the rude young boy was still whipping him at his belly. I have even noticed butcher boys riding horses very fast. One day, I came to know the reason for this. A young boy came to his butcher shop. I could see how hard the horse had been driven. It was out of breath and sighing. When father saw the condition of the horse, he scolded his son for ill-treating the horse. The son replied that it was all because of him and his customers. He said, "He always asks me to be fast and quick. You say that go to the houses for delivery and be back for the next delivery in no time. Sometimes a cook forgets a piece, or sometimes a housekeeper forgets to buy meat on time. And just to avoid scolding from their masters, they ask you to send meat fast. In return, you ask me to be fast, so I have no alternative but to make the horses run fast. If your customers could be wise enough to order meat a day before it has to be eaten, as to my knees. I tossed my head for some time to get the aching out and pulled